Okay, so the last talk for this session is Sophie, who's going to be telling us about array support for automatic differentiation.
Yes, so hello. Thank you for the introduction, and I'm going to talk about adding array support for JuMP's automatic differentiation in a package that we called ArrayDiff. So first, I'd like to start with a brief reminder or introduction to what is actually automatic differentiation. So it's a way of computing derivatives. So anytime you want to compute a derivative, you actually have the choice between computing it by hand or using symbolic differentiation to have the computer compute this symbolic expression for you. Or you can use finite differences, but this is not exact. Or you can use the algorithmic way, so use automatic differentiation, and this is what we do all the time, actually. In short, what it does is that it decomposes your function first into elementary operations. So if you have your function f, it decomposes it into f1, f2, and so on until fn. And then it applies the chain rule automatically on this sequence of elementary operations. So to remind you of the chain rule, it says that the Jacobian of your function is just the product of the local Jacobians of all the intermediate functions that you have, so all of this. But in practice, we never compute the Jacobian of the function. We always compute Jacobian vector products. And this is what differentiates between forward and reverse AD. So for example, if you apply forward AD, what you actually compute is the product between your Jacobian J and the vector U. And if you use reverse AD, you actually compute the product between your Jacobian J with the V transpose vector. And since it's more efficient for functions that have a lot of inputs and not a lot of outputs, so most of the functions nowadays, we usually use reverse AD, so we will focus on reverse AD. More specifically, how does it work and how is it implemented? It can be summarized in 3 steps. So first, it will construct the expression graph of the function you gave. So for example, here, if you have this function, I said it would first decompose your function into elementary operations. So here, it will start with your 2 variables, x1 and x2. And then it will apply exponential, then multiplication, then sum, square root, and so on. And then it will construct this graph, which is called the expression graph. And in the next 2 steps, we will traverse this graph first in the forward direction. So we will evaluate the intermediate quantities. So first after your first function f1, and then after f2, and so on. So you evaluate the function. And then in a backward pass, you will actually multiply the local Jacobians, as I said in the beginning, which is just applying the chain rule. So this is how it works. So right now, you're probably asking what is already available in Julia and what do we add? So there are actually a lot of available AD systems in Julia. So just to cite them, you have Mooncake, Enzyme, Reactant, and so on. And JuMP has its own AD system, which is called reverse AD. So this is actually our point. It's not to add one more AD system in Julia. It's more that JuMP has its own AD system, reverse AD, and this one is only scalar. So it means that in the expression graph that I showed before, each node can only contain scalar values. And this can be a problem if you want to represent functions which have a structure with vector and matrices. You would like to benefit from these vector and matrices, actually. It could make the expression graph a lot smaller and the computations faster. So our goal is simply to, with ArrayDiff, is simply to add vector and matrix support to reverse AD. Then in the next 2 slides, I wanted to explain what we did different than in the scalar case. So first, as I said, in the vector or matrix case, we want nodes to be able not only to contain scalar values, but also arrays values. For example, if you have this function, which variables are W1 and W2, like matrices, this function is basically corresponding to a linear neural network, for example. With this function, if you allow nodes to contain matrix values, then you can have your first variable W1, your whole matrix in a single node. And same for W2, your second variable. Whereas if you had only scalar values, you would have a huge expression graph and nodes for each entry, actually, of your matrices W1 and W2. Second thing that is different than in the scalar case is that we won't compute, store, and multiply all the local Jacobians on the backward pass anymore. So I told you that in the chain rule, we simply multiply the local Jacobians together. Here with vectors and matrices, we won't do this. A simple example to understand why is to consider the product of matrices. So if somewhere in your function you have y is equal to ax, if you want to see Jacobians as matrices, you will realize that the local Jacobian of your operation is this matrix J, which corresponds to this, which is potentially huge, but already also very structured. So it makes no sense actually to store all of this. And it makes much more sense to see Jacobians as linear maps. So anytime you encounter this operation of multiplying by a matrix, you know that on the backward pass, you simply have to apply this linear map to multiply the quantity you receive by A transpose, and you get the quantity you want to continue your backward pass. So this was the second thing different we did compared to the scalar case. Related to this, I wanted to present some details on the implementation because since we need to apply linear maps on the backward pass, we cannot simply multiply everything together. We need to know actually which operator we are seeing at any instant in the backward pass to know which linear map we should apply. So to avoid runtime dispatch with this, we implemented if and else if branches for first different shapes. So anytime you have scalar, vector, and matrices, and also for operators. So for a list of predefined operators, we have these if and else if branches. All of this to allow to avoid functions to be type unstable. And also, if still you have any other shape or other operator, you can do it, but it will just be a dynamic dispatch in this case. Then I wanted to present how ArrayDiff could integrate with existing systems. So first, with ArrayDiff, we wanted to allow user-defined array functions. So, for example, if somewhere in the function you want to differentiate, at some point you have some arbitrary Julia code that we do not support with ArrayDiff, then it will just, for this specific part of your function, use chain rule and then go on with this. So it allows for user-defined array functions as well. And second, it allows to embed neural networks in JuMP. So you can just import your trained neural networks with ONNX, and you can then differentiate in JuMP your neural network with respect to the input X. And then to, as a conclusion, we already did a small benchmark just to compare with what we could do with Mooncake or PyTorch, for example, on a very simple function. We could see that it was comparable, but again, I insist that the goal is not to be competitive with them because they are a lot more general, and we focus on simple operators that we implemented. And so take this with a grain of salt. So this is, as a conclusion, I already insisted that we do not pretend to differentiate arbitrary Julia code. It's not the case. And we do not want to be as fast as the best ADs. But the goal was simply to extend JuMP's scalar ID, reverse AD, to support vectors and matrices so that you can have faster computations in the case you have functions or variables which are vectors or matrices. And we support user-defined vector and matrix functions and embedding of neural networks. I thank you for your attention. Thank you.